Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my proposed Italian tank tech tree series. This is the last episode actually, because we're only doing with the premiums. Well, I say we're dealing with the premiums. I've actually come across information on other tanks and there was some I'd come across that I weren't sure on. So what I've done is done a premium / unsure. Basically some are what I think should be premium, such as the FT17, R35, and there are others that I think not sure whether they could be should be premium, such as the Contrario. I apologise for the mispronunciation, or some that I'm not sure if they should be in at all, but thought I'd mention just in case, such as the Semovente DAR 149/40. Should be a relatively quick video or episode today, because there are only a few premiums. I've added some on since last time, but yeah, before I waffle on too much, let's get straight into the episode. Now, the first tank we're looking at is the Renault FT17. Won't go into massive detail about it because obviously I'll be covering that in the French tank tech tree, but some of these were given to Italy, only a small number, I think less than 10. I don't think they were ever used in combat, but they were used by Italy to get experience with tanks. I believe the Fiat 3000 was based on it, that we covered before. Armour was 22 to 6mm, which was okay in World War One, not great in World War Two, obviously. And it had a 37mm cannon. I don't know if it had a machine gun along with it, or if that was like a separate variant, because there were some variants with just 2 machine guns. The speed was about 23.6 miles an hour, so reasonably fast, reasonably armoured. I don't know how good the gun is. It's a low velocity one, but I think it would be a very good tier 1 premium for Italy. Now, the next one I think I did mention in my last episode, the Semovente L3 DAR 47/32. Basically, it was a 47mm gun put on the L335. Well, it doesn't actually say it was the L335, it just says L3, but did a little bit looking online. I'm pretty sure it's the L3/35 that it's been put on. So armour would be, going by that, about 6 to 14mm, 26 miles an hour speed. The 47mm gun would be reasonably good. I mean, it's about the same as the M13/40, which is why it's not particularly higher than the M13. It could possibly be a little bit lower battle rating wise. Wasn't sure whether to include it because it was a one-off prototype, but if it is included, I think it would be a reasonably cheap premium tank destroyer for the Italians to have in tier 1. Now, the next tank we're looking at is the Renault R35, which I believe some were given to Italy or sold to Italy by Germany. They may have captured some of their own while attacking France just before the armistice. Armour, well, there's a bit of a discrepancy. My book describes it as 40mm, but I've seen online sources saying 43. The gun was a 37mm gun, and it could do a top speed of about 12.4 miles an hour, so a bit slow. Not the best gun in the world, but quite well armoured, which is why I've put it about, I've put it about mid tier 1, maybe high tier 1, because the gun isn't that great, but the armour is reasonably good, and I think it would be best suited there. Now, the next tank is the Somura S35, probably one of the best interwar tanks of the interwar era. Armour was between 20mm and 55mm, and it was cast armour and kind of sloped a little bit. Could do a top speed of about 24.85 miles an hour. Books very specific with the speed for some reason, and it had a 47mm cannon, so this was quite a good cannon from what I understand, which is why I've put it high tier 1. I think it would be a reasonable premium for the Italians to have and use. Now, the next vehicle is an AB41 or 43 with a German 50mm gun. Now, my book says it was never put into production, but it does say there was a mounting with an open hold variant with a German 50mm gun, so they must have done testing with it at least. This is probably in my unsure sort of part of the tech tree. If Gaijin can find information on it, I think it would be a reasonable premium. But like I said, I haven't been able to find any pictures on it or much information, so I'm going to put that in the unsure pile for the moment. Now, the next vehicle could easily go in the self-propelled anti-aircraft line, or the premium line, or the unsure line. I didn't actually find out about this vehicle until after I'd put out yesterday's video, which is why I didn't cover it yesterday. But this is the Semavente M1542 Contrario. I probably butchered that pronunciation, I do apologise. Basically, it was an M15 with 4 20mm cannons in it. I believe they were the Scotti 20mm cannons. I've got listed on. I'm trying to use an Italian source and translate it. It says a rate of fire of 250 rounds a minute. I'm going to assume that talks about the individual barrel. So in fact, if you come down, it says a rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute. So very good little self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. If we look at the M15, which it's based on, it had 50mm frontal armour, 42mm side armour. And could do 25 miles an hour. Now, I think this would be a very good premium or self-propelled anti-aircraft gun for the Italians. Like I say, it could go in either. I think it would be a very good addition for the Italians. I minded to perhaps put it in the self-propelled anti-aircraft line, but because there was only one prototype and it was destroyed, from what I understand. I've put it in the premium/unsure pile. But if Gaijin can implement it, I think it would be good. Good for the Italian tech tree, whether a premium or self-propelled anti-aircraft line vehicle. Now, the next vehicle I was extremely unsure about, the Semavente DAR 149/40. But I'll read out the stats for it. 21.75 miles per hour top speed, again oddly specific. And it had one 149mm gun and 14mm of armour. And again, it looks like the crew have to be exposed to fire it. The thing is, the reason I've put this in unsure is because I think this was more of a artillery gun than a direct fire gun, or even possibly not even an assault gun. The reason I've put it here is because looking online, apparently it had 259mm of penetration at 100 metres. So I'm wondering if this could possibly be used in a direct fire mode or as an assault tank. I'm really not sure about this tank, which is why I've put it at tier 3, because I'm just really not sure about this. I didn't want to not mention it because apparently it was quite a good artillery piece or assault or good vehicle with a good gun. But whether it would fit in War Thunder, I don't know. I think it would be, if it was, it would have to be a premium, I think, because it's so different to the other tank destroyer guns. But I've put it there just so you know it exists and you know it's there and all that. Now, the next vehicle I hadn't heard of before, and it was actually a very unusual vehicle. I've only found out about it while looking for information on another vehicle. It's a complete fluke I even found it. The Breda Tipo 102. Now, the sources seem to disagree on what it used. Some say 76, some say 9mm gun, some say the 90mm used on the tank destroyer, and a few say 102mm. They all seem to agree on the 102mm gun, although some do say that there was another variant with a 90mm gun. They both seem to have been prototypes. I'm talking about the 102mm gun for this one, really, which I'm trying to find the penetration. I believe the penetration for that was 178 at about 100 metres. I think this would be a very good tank vehicle to have. It's very unusual. It's wheeled. I think the sides could be brought down for extra traverse of the turret, something like up to 270 degrees. I haven't been able to find much other information on it, like speed or armour, but I think if Gaijin could find information on this would be a very good vehicle for the Italians to have. Put it tier 3 because it's got that big gun, and unlike most tank destroyers, it can traverse quite a decent amount. I think this would be a very good vehicle for the Italians to have. It's very unusual. It's just the only problem I've got, which makes me a little unsure, is finding information on it. But if Gaijin could do that, I think it would be worth, looking into and adding it into the game. Well, that's the end of today's episode on the premium tanks or /unsure tanks for my proposed Italian tank tech tree. Or actually, it's still it for the proposed Italian tank tech tree, since we've gone through all the different classifications of vehicles. like I've said, this is just a basic framework. This isn't intended to be the final result. Obviously, there are different variants and vehicles that could be added, but this is what I think should be added or needed just to make the tech tree work. As a starting point. And as we can see, while Italy does have some not too good vehicles, they do have some very excellent vehicles, especially tank destroyers. Got some good premiums, self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. Some of their medium tanks are quite good. Very good armoured cars, okay light tanks. I think they would do very well in War Thunder. Unfortunately, there's a bit of problem going above tier 3, 4. I believe Italy did get some American tanks, but this is really just to focus on the Italian side of the tech tree. Plus, because I couldn't find much information on what tanks they had and when they had them. I'm sure Gaijin knows how to, they have access to better information than I do. But, thank you for watching the series in this episode. If you enjoyed the series, leave a like. Subscribe if you like these sorts of episodes, and these sorts of videos. Leave feedback, could always do with more feedback and comments. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.